Hey guys, it's Nurse J again, Nursing the Truth. This is my second video today. We're talking about, was Jesus really crucified or did someone take his place? Now, I talked to you about Mark as the first synoptic gospel that was written, then it was Matthew. Now, in Mark, I had shown you in chapter 15 that it was Simon of Cyrene that was crucified. But in verse 34, they threw the Jesus name in there. Now, was this Simon of Cyrene, Simon Magus? Excuse me, was this Simon, a guy that was just living in the first century? Who knows? But we're going to compare now to Matthew. All right, so if we go to Matthew chapter 27, which is the second synoptic gospel. Now, Mark was written after 70, okay, between 70 to 75 after the temple was destroyed in Jerusalem, okay. Now, there again, we're in chapter 27, and they're talking about Barabbas, releasing Barabbas, and Pilate was saying, well, what shall I do then with Jesus, which is called the Christ, which, you know, let's get real. First of all, the Romans would have never called Jesus Christ because they had already, the Roman gods, you know, had already been called Christos or Christos or the Christ. I mean, there's so many gods in antiquity. So Christ is nothing new. And for them to call Jesus the Christ is no, they were worshiping Zeus. And so let's go here. So these people are saying, crucify him, blah, blah, blah. And Pilate says in verse 23, well, what evil has he done? And the multitude are saying, let, you know, his blood be on us and our children. Well, I hate to tell you people, but the Jews are very kosher. They don't like blood. All the blood has to be let out of the animals. They're very particular. So for a Jew to even think about blood on them or drinking wine and it's the blood of Christ, I mean, come on, this is sick. They wouldn't do that. Then in the scriptures it says, then released he Barabbas unto them, and when he had scourged Jesus, he delivered him to be crucified. Okay, so he released Barabbas. This is in Matthew. He releases Barabbas to the Jews, which the Jews have never done that in antiquity. They don't do that. You got to know your Jewish laws. And when he had scourged Jesus, Pilate, he delivered him to be crucified. Then the soldiers of the governor took Jesus unto the common hall and gathered unto him the whole band of soldiers. Okay. They stripped him and put on a scarlet robe, and when they had plaited a crown of thorns, they put it on his head and a reed in his right hand, and they bowed the knee before him and mocked him, saying, Hail, King of the Jews. Okay, it's like, you know, the scepter. And they spit on him and took the reed and smote him on the head. And after that, they had mocked him, took the robe off from him, and put on his own raiment on him, and led him away to crucify him. Okay, so that's the same thing that happened in Mark. Remember? They scourged him, took off the purple robe, and put on his own raiment on him, and led him away to crucify him. So here we go. The same scene in Mark is in Matthew. Whipping, taking the purple robe off, putting his clothes on, and then exiting the situation. Now, In verse 32 of chapter 27 in Matthew, it says, now let's listen, children. And as they came out, talking about the soldiers, because in verse 31, they were talking that they led him away to crucify him, talking about Jesus. And as they came out, they found a man, a Cyrene, Simon by name. Him they compelled to bear his cross. Now, Matthew doesn't say anything about his children, Alexander and Rufus. But in 33 it says, and when they were come unto a place called Golgotha, that is to say, a place of the skull, they gave him vinegar to drink mingled with gall, and when he had tasted thereof, he would not drink. Well, let's see. In Mark, they gave him to drink wine mingled with myrrh. But in Matthew, they gave him vinegar mingled with gall. So, that's a problem. Get it straight. Is it wine? Or is it vinegar? Now, he didn't drink it in Mark, and he didn't drink it in Matthew. And they crucified him. And parted his garments and casted lots, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by the prophet. They parted my garments among them, and casted my vesture did they cast lots. Well, that's bullshit. Okay? The New Testament writers had to take things from the Old Testament and put into this story. Verse 36, and sitting down, they watched him there. They guarded him and set up over his head his accusation written, this is Jesus, the King of the Jews. Then there were two thieves crucified him, one on the right and on the left. And they passed by, reviled him, wagging their heads and saying, thou that destroyest the temple and buildest it in 3 days, save thyself if thou be the Son of God. Come down from the cross. And likewise also the chief priest, mocking him with the scribes and elders, said, he saved others. Himself he cannot save. If he be the King of Israel, let him come down from the cross, and we will believe him. And he trusted in God. Let him deliver him now, if he will have him, for he said, I am the Son of God. The thieves also which were crucified with him cast the same in his teeth. Now from the 6th hour there was darkness all over the land until the 9th hour. And he cried out in a loud voice, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? Same thing. If you are a God, why are you going to forsake yourself? It would seem like a man, a mortal, would question something of higher value. Why have you forsaken me, you liar? Not a universal God. Oh, I'm looking at something, guys. So sorry here. See if there was something else I missed that I wanted to tell you. Okay, so um now in Mark, the first gospel, there was no one busting out of graves. But in Matthew, the story gets trumped up. And the graves were opened, and many bodies of the saints which slept arose and came out of the graves after his resurrection and went into the holy city and appeared to many. So, we've all been told that when Christ returns, that the graves will open and the people are going to wake up. So, in Matthew, did we miss it? I don't believe in this mumbo jumbo, but I just kind of wanted you to think. Because as I told you in my videos, the rapture is a hoax. The rapture is a lie. The rapture was set up by the great Vatican, Holy Roman Empire of the Jesuits by Francisco Ribeiro. And look it up in your Wikipedia of his 500-page discourse on the apocalypse and the Antichrist, then the resurrection. So, there again. So, the second book of Matthew also says that it was Simon of Cyrene that had pared Jesus' cross. They crucified and they cast lots and they tried to give him something to drink. Now, my friends, that is part 2 to my series. Watch for number 3. Coming up shortly. Hotep and Ashe. And when you find the truth, let the truth set you free, my friends. And we'll see you shortly. Goodbye.